Hello friends, this is Krishna. Um Today I am going to discuss about a very important topic of physics of class 9th ICSE and CBSE both, and the topic is equation of motion, which describes the linear motion of an object moving along a straight line path. Dear guys, students, I have created YouTube channel which name is Sigma Coaching Classes. Today we will discuss about equation of motion first of all, and first of all before that we will discuss about types of motion. So first we see that what is motion is motion. If an object changes its position with respect to time, then we said that say that the motion there is a motion because there is a change in position. So motion is basically motion is phenomena, we can say, in which an object changes its position with respect to time. So we can define it as an object is said to be in motion when it changes its position with respect to time. This is the definition of motion. And the types of motion are: if an object changes its position with respect to time, then the object is said to perform a motion. Okay, so this is the basic definition of motion, and there is some types of motion, which is first one is linear motion. Or a straight line path. A motion is said to be in linear motion when an object moving along a straight line path. And second one is periodic motion. When an object repeats its motion during certain interval of time, then the motion is said to be in periodic motion. So periodic motion are basically 2 or 3 types. That means first one is circular motion. Second is oscillatory motion. And third is vibratory motion. If an object repeats its motion in certain interval of time, then the motion is said to be periodic motion, just like circular motion, oscillatory motion and vibratory motion. Circular motion, this is also 2 types. First one is rotatory motion, we can say rotatory motion, and second one is what? Revolutionary motion. Okay, revolution, revolution we can say, or rotation. So this is the basic concept related to motion. Now we'll move to describe a linear motion, because in our syllabus we have to study linear motion in ICSE and CBSE board both, and UP board also. So now we will move to linear motion. Okay, so let's erase first of all these things. After that we will understand linear motion. So what is linear motion is? Linear motion. We have defined already what is linear motion. The motion of an object along a straight line path, the motion is said to be linear motion. Linear motion basically which can be uniform or non-uniform. Linear motion, it can be uniform, and second one is what? Non-uniform. Uniform motion is what? The motion is said to be uniform when distance covered by an object in certain interval time is fixed, but when distance and velocities basically also. So non-uniform motion is what? When distance covered by an object in fixed interval of time is not same, then the motion is said to be non-uniform. If certain object does not cover equal distance in equal interval of time, then the motion is defined as non-uniform motion. But in a motion when an object cover fixed distance in fixed interval of time, then the motion is said to be uniform motion. So for describing this type of linear motion, we have to learn Newton's law of motion and equations of motion both. For defining linear motion, we have to study Newton's laws of motion. Newton's laws of motion. Okay. So for brief description and correct explanation, Isaac Newton, the father of physics, studied about linear motion and gave 3 laws, which is known as Newton's law of motion. So we have to study laws of motion and also equation of motion. Equation of motion also. So we have 3 equation of motion and 3 laws of motion also. Okay. The first law of motion is what? First law of motion. First law of motion states that which is also Galileo law of inertia, which states that if an object is in rest, it will remain at rest. If an object performing uniform motion, it keeps perform uniform motion unless or until when external force applied on that body. That means what? Every object, non-living, living, has a property of inertia. That means he opposes each and every changes creating in an object. So the object do not want to any type of change which is done by any external cause. So the first laws of motion is a motion in which each and every object keep remain in its original state. That is the law of inertia also, which is also called law of inertia. Inertia proposed by Galileo Galilei. Okay. Second law of motion is what? second law of motion. It states that force and acceleration of an object, according to second law of motion, force is directly proportional to mass first, and force is also directly proportional to acceleration. Okay, if an object perform a motion, it can be linear motion or circular motion, any type of motion. So if an object has certain mass and certain acceleration, that according to second law of motion, force is directly proportional to mass and acceleration also. If we combine these two equations, we will have what? F proportional to ma, and if we replace the proportionality constant, we have constant which is kma. So basically second law of motion states that the force applied on that object which have mass m and acceleration a. Here F is what? F is force, m is mass, and a is acceleration. And what is acceleration? Acceleration is the change in velocity change in velocity with respect to time, which is defined as acceleration. Okay, acceleration is what? If an object performing a motion which can be linear or non-linear also. If an object has acceleration, if we suppose a is acceleration, then it can be defined as the change in velocity with respect to time. That means a equal to v minus u by t. So if we want to represent the force in terms of momentum, we can put the value of a in the place of here. Okay, so if you want to write F equal to k, if you will take k equal to 1, okay, so this formula will transform F equal to ma, and m acceleration means what? V minus u by t, that means v minus u by t. We can write F equal to mv minus mu upon t. And we know that momentum, what is momentum? Momentum is the product of mass and velocity. It is final momentum. Okay, final momentum p equal to mv, and initial momentum. Momentum is the product of mass and velocity. Okay, so the initial momentum will be what? P, it can be p1, it can be p2. Okay, so mu. Here we have get what? mv minus mu. That means the final momentum, the change in momentum from p1 to p2. If you want to find the change in momentum, we have to write mv minus mu. Okay, so this will give the change in momentum. That means what? This is p2 and this is p1 upon t. F equal to change in momentum can be represented by delta p. So the force is also represented in the form of momentum, in terms of momentum. So the force is nothing but change in momentum with respect to time, which can be written as F equal to delta p by t. Okay, second law of motion can be represented in two ways. First one is it is the product of mass and acceleration, and second one is what? It is nothing but F equal to change in momentum with respect to time. That means F equal to delta p by t. Here delta p is change in momentum, that is change in final momentum to initial to final momentum, which is nothing but delta p, and in time t. So it can be represented as F equal to delta p by t. So the change in momentum with respect to time is nothing but force. So the second law of motion states that which can be described in two ways. First one is what? First one is it is nothing but, second law of motion, nothing but the product of mass and acceleration. First and second is it is the rate change of momentum with respect to time, that is F equal to delta p by t. And here we can see what is third laws of motion. Third law of motion, it is nothing but it states about action and reaction. That means if force is applied on that object, if force is applied in any object, then there is a opposite and equal reactions. There is a force which is equal and opposite direction. If we apply force in any object, then there will be a reaction in terms of force which is equally but in opposite direction. So the third law of motion states that action and reaction of a force, which can be easily seen by if we fire the gun, so the gun pushes backward, that means action is in forward direction but opposite direction is backward direction. If we jump from a boat, then the boat displaces from backward, which is if you want to explain the action in forward direction, we have done action in forward direction, so the opposite reaction pushed the boat in backward direction. So this is all about basic concept of linear motion and laws of motion. Now after that we will see that in basic understanding and proper understanding, Newton has also defined three law of equation. In second video we will see the proof and graphical representation of equation of motion. So this is all about linear motion and laws of motion. In next video we will see that equation of motion and proof.